This is our first split of the work session and business session. Business session, of course, will be Thursday at 6:30 here, so we'll call it to order, and this isn't on there, but we'll stand and have ourselves a moment of silence to do the pledge of allegiance. So everybody stand. Take a moment of silence. Alright, and we'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all. Alright, so we got next on the agenda here, we got recognitions, and I'll turn it over to the director to take care of those.
Thank you. Ms. Simpson, are you doing?
I brought with me tonight our Beta Club from Jefferson Middle School, and two of our distinguished leaders of our Beta Club are here tonight. That's Mr. Chris Justice and Miss Liz Brogan, and we're going to let them tell you a little bit about what our Beta Club has been up to recently.
So we are super proud of our Beta Club members and all that we've accomplished in the past 2 years, actually. We just got word from National Beta Club that we were awarded the National School of Merit for the second year in a row. So we're extremely proud of all of our students and what they have accomplished. We just initiated 58 new Beta Club members, bringing our total to over 100. So we're really excited to grow with this new large group of student leaders. For those of you that don't know, Beta Club is a national honor society for students whose main goal is for academic achievement and to develop leadership and character qualities as well as community service. And in November, thanks to the approval of the board and the support of our administration, we were able to attend the state convention in Nashville. And we were able to take 23 students, and it was our first time ever as Jefferson Middle School attending the state convention. And we have 3 students up here representing some of that hard work that they competed with over 7,000 people at state convention, and were able to bring home some really special awards and prizes for the competitions that they competed in. They were academic, fine arts, STEM, different types of competitions that they competed in. And so we have Miss Kaylin Hartsock won 2nd place in creative writing. We had a team of 7th graders at JMS, including Miss Caroline Simpson, who placed 2nd place in technology. We also placed 4th place in the Quiz Bowl, and Charlotte Smith was part of that, as well as Kaylin Hartsock, both of them. And they actually qualified to compete at nationals with that. And lastly, we had Adriana Knight, who was selected as a premier singer, also invited to sing at nationals. So we were really, really proud of all the students, and for the first time ever going to state convention, they did a really great job. So we could not be more proud of them. We also do service each month for either our school or community. Most recently, we did Christmas caroling at the Jefferson City Rehabilitation Center, and we also did a book drive and collected 289 books to donate to the public library for students in need and things like that for the holidays. And we just want to thank the board and our community supporters for everything that you do for Beta Club, and we can't wait to see these awesome students continue to shine throughout middle school, and can't wait to see what they can accomplish in the future. So thank you all for having us tonight.
So we'll get one facing this way, and then I bet you we might have a parent or two. So your face right here. Come on in here, Miss Susan. There you go. All right, spin around, we'll take one right out here. I'm sure we have to do everything.
Yep, I'm not hearing.
We good? All right, thank you. All right, next we have the Coach Delosier. Come on up, Coach. We held his hand before, but he's getting used to doing this, so
I'm doing
come
all
on
right
up
with
here
it.
and
I'm
talk
good.
to us.
I just enjoyed watching Trevor do manual labor.
Yeah,
That's good.
I know. Come on up.
That's good. Hey, first off, thank you, all right, for allowing these guys, okay, come on, all right, Mark, come with me, all right. So, this group, let's see, I'm gonna have to rebuild. We'll go through there. As we go through, these guys came through a little history on what we've done here. We brought some girls tonight too, which is really good, all right. So we, came through, a little history about it. We've won, I think 2, maybe 3 district championships in 50 years, close to it around this stuff. This group, however, started out their sophomore years, and now for the 3rd year in a row, they were district champions. They've qualified for the state 3 years in a row as a team. That was the first in the history of the school. In the 50 years we've had a cross-country program, they've gone 3 times in a row, and they're the only group that's done that. Talked to them a little bit beforehand. School record holders as far as the guys go and doing that. Gage, you've been a school record holder?
Yep.
Gavin, you've been a school record holder?
Yep.
Connor, you've been a school record holder? All right, so they've been fighting this out for 3 years about who's there. Who ended up with it?
Me.
And me. All right, that's good. So that's the kind of competition we get out of those guys each and every day and going there. They've been top 15 in the state the last 3 years and a very competitive deal. Just to get out of our region, we have 5 teams that have all been state champions at some point in time as a team. Only 3 get to go. All right, so we've worked our way through that, got through that, love what these guys do. They represent your community well. All right, and hi, gals. We had 3 gals in the history of the school that had ever been individually until this year and got that. And so I'm going to start with them, come back to these guys because I like them a little better than doing that. So it took me 3 years to talk Presley Berger, senior, into running cross country for us, trying to get her there. And she qualified for the state. First year with us in cross country as a senior. Very excited about doing that. So we went from a senior to a freshman, Carly Napier. Carly, we saw run. She came and ran with us after her 7th grade year and hung out with me a little bit in the summer, and we kept, we just kept on her. She also qualified. What it takes individual is if you're not on one of those teams, you got to be one of the top 5 runners in the entire race to be able to get to go and compete individually. And not only did we get 1, we got 2. That's never happened in the history of the school, so congratulations, ladies, on that. All right. And all right, on the guys' side, let's see, how many times all region?
3, 2, something. I don't know. I forgot.
3?
3.
You been 3? No, not you. Not you, Bryce. Bryce is coming up. Was that? You had 3?
Yeah.
You had 3?
Yeah.
So those guys have been top 15 in the region meet for the last 3 years, okay? This year we had another first, however, and Connor not only decided to do that, we never won the thing. Connor is also your region champion, and Gage and Gavin came in. We had a 1-3-4 finish in that and came very close to getting a region championship. We still need that to happen. So congratulations, those guys as well. So we got Connor, Gage and Gavin, Slagle, Junior Bryce, and our rock, Eli Jones, another senior there, and 2 juniors with us here tonight. We got Rex Churchwell and Mason Satterfield. Two of our athletes are not able to be here with us tonight. Junior Jacob Goldstein. Jacob's actually practicing with the Knoxville Youth Orchestra right now. Impressive young man. And Sawyer Runyon, another one that we added a senior this year, and he's also out there. And so congratulations to you gentlemen. Appreciate it. It's an honor to work with you, and can't wait to see how you gentlemen and ladies get to do and represent us in the future. Good. One guy I left out over here is the guy that keeps me straight is Mark Corm. He stayed with me for about 6 or 7 years now. And 9 when I started. He's counting every minute, by the way, and doing that stuff. So Mark's there. Grew up with Mark. We played Little League ball together. And he stays with us each and every day, and he's just sort of our glue, and they can bounce things off him when they're a little too scared to ask me. So we'll do that. But thank you again. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Hey, let me have you forward.
We'll get you all over there this way. Slide this way. We're good.
There you go.
Stay. Don't move. Here we go behind.
You good right here.
I'm good right there. We go behind. We're good. Good. I'll stand my car. I like that. It's like you got him, Mark. Good. Goodbye. Good, Mark? No, no. We're good. All right. Mama's taking a Mama's taking a bunch.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you. Michelle, are you doing next? Christy and I both.
So Christy and I had a teacher come to us or reach out to us, Mina Blaylock. We're going to let Mina tell you about this little project, but she's a young teacher, one of just a rising star for us in middle school, and she had a really good idea that was a pretty ambitious idea, and she actually approached Christy and I to see if we would be willing to help her with that. So we wanted to let her share what you are going to start seeing in the community, and we're getting ready to start this month. Is that right? Roll this out at the end of the month. Yeah. Okay. So come on, Mina, and I'm gonna let you talk about it. Come right over here so they can see you. And
Hi, as she already said, my name is Mina Blaylock. I teach 7th grade English Language Arts at Moran Middle School, and this is my 3rd year in that position. I also grew up in Jefferson County schools, where my teachers gave me countless opportunities to flourish in my interests and abilities. As an educator myself now, I'm constantly looking for ways to do the same for my students, and that's why I'm here. For fall break during my 2nd year teaching, my family and I went to Hilton Head on vacation. And while we were there, we visited a couple of different parks around the island, both of which housed similar signs that caught my eye. And these signs displayed 2 QR codes. One of them, when you scanned it, linked to a poem that someone from the island had written. The other QR code pulled up a Facebook page that showed the countless locations of each stop along a poetry trail. From that sprung an idea in my mind. During this very same time frame, I had a student, Braden. He had been sharing several works of poetry that he had been writing. One of them you may have seen in the Standard banner or on the Dandridge Fire Department Facebook page. While Braden was given an opportunity to showcase his talent outside of my classroom, many of my students don't get the same recognition for their creativity. They share it with me and their other teachers, maybe a parent or an older sibling, and then it's over until now. When I came across the Hilton Head Island Poetry Trail, I thought, what better way to share poetry and other creations like short stories or artwork for students similar to Braden. And so I brought this idea to Christy, as I hoped that Mossy Creek Literacy Council might want in on such a project. Before I knew it, she was in contact with Michelle and several other individuals, and we had a committee formed to really make this project come to life. So I'm here to share with you J-Create, Jefferson County's remarkable exploration of artistic talent and expression. You should have, do they have handouts? I think they have handouts. You should have handouts in your packet that explain this project in better detail. And they also give you some visual representations of what I'm sharing with you. These are the signs that are going to be displayed. So we're going to start with small trails of 4 signs each at each of the 4 middle schools. And each sign has 2 QR codes, one that links to a page on our district website that tells more about this project and where the signs can be found across the district. The other links to a student's submission. And the students at each respective school have contributed. We've already been doing this, but they will continue to contribute to their school signs with poetry, short stories, and then various forms of artwork. We have also involved some of our high school classes, I believe service learning, some of the CTE classes in this project. I'm very excited at the potential that this has to really grow and involve more and more students and staff from all around Jefferson County schools. So please take some time to visit these middle schools, scan the QR codes with your smartphone camera, and enjoy the incredible talents of our youth. I believe you'll be amazed to discover their talent and their deep thoughts. After you've enjoyed it for yourself, encourage everyone you know to do the same. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you.
Like we said, we've already chosen some works to display for each school. So each school will have how many signs? 4?
4.
We have 4 signs at each school, and we're going to place them in various locations. Right now, we're using just the, these little, I think they're great, actually, but our hope is eventually to have permanent signs that look a little bit more like the signs that you see in your packet that she found at Hilton Head. So something like metal, a little bit more permanent. That's where our service learning kids will come in and help us with those things. But for now, we thought this would be a really good way to start, and then we could move these around depending on what's going on campus. Like, you got a basketball game, we may put them, going into the school so people can see them. But when you start track, you might want to put them down at the track. So different ways we could do that. Eventually, we would like to expand to high school and elementary school and we envision having places all over Jefferson County, maybe partnering with Carson Newman or other places where we can place these signs and our kids can be showcased. So,
Mr. Chairman, is there any plans where when you add new artwork or poetry or literature to the literacy trail that you send out some kind of a notification?
Is there a notification?
We sent just to the ELA teachers in middle school and then the middle school principals, and they put up signs around the school. And so our goal would be to each semester to have the submission process open up again, and then at the end of the semester, find the new pieces to put online. So we thought we'd switch it out every 6 months or so, something like that.
I was thinking more for the community at large.
Yeah. I think we will it will be posted on our website. I don't know that there's a mass communication. I mean, it's something that we can talk about.
We can consider.
Yeah, but we think this is a neat little idea, and we've already had our middle schoolers are really showing
We were
some
impressed
interest.
with a lot of their work.
Yeah, so we're excited to see where it goes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, a lot of good things happening in our county. I'm interested to see these different things displayed. That way our kids get recognized. I like that. So, let's see, we're on to number 3 here, Director's Information on Business Session agenda items. I'll turn it back over to the director.
Thank you. Great people, great things, as you see here tonight. That's what it's all about, is recognizing our students and the great things they do. So we're very proud. I have just a few things. First of all, passed out to you is a curriculum guide for this upcoming year. There's a front cover page, just kind of a summary of changes, and then goes into that curriculum guide. Normally we get that out to you much earlier, but CTE reorganization kind of held some things up in order for us to be able to get that out to you in December. So that's why it's coming later than normal. But we just need to get this to the printer soon, like yesterday. So that's why it's coming. That's why it's asked that you add this to the agenda on Thursday and for your consideration for approval. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I'll pass that along. Ms. Schultz is here. So she's kind of spearheaded this. We'll pass those questions on to her if you come across anything in here that you need information on to be able to vote on that. Also, in the new business coming up, we have just the PECA committee, and that 3 board members were chose on there. We have 4 other personnel that make that committee up for you to recommend. We'll ask that you consider that at Thursday's meeting. But we sent out to administrators, supervisors, we got you a list and asked that you approve that full committee. The 3 board members have already been chosen, and just ask for that consideration. Also, Mr. Hardy asked about a assistant maintenance supervisor position to be considered. We came up with a kind of a job description and put that in your packet for consideration. Ms. Elder and I spoke some, so a new position either has to be created 2 ways. It has to be approved by you, has to be approved by county commission, either through use of fund balance or through the budget process. At this time, the earliest that could be considered would be April meeting by county commission if you approve it on the board's end for their consideration. Any questions or anything on that?
Now, if we were to approve this, could we get the process started to hire somebody, or do we have to wait?
We would wait until funds are approved. So just as in the use of funds, we wait till fully funded, whether that's a project or a person. You know, we may do some legwork like create a job description or that sort of thing, but we wouldn't post an interview before county commission approved a position. So we normally don't. Within the budget, we have, for instance, this year there was 2 vacant teacher positions in the budget. So we put those in there just in case we need one, so that we don't have to go through this process of getting approval. So those, for instance, if at this school numbers come in, we have to hire a teacher, we need to do that immediately, need that in the budget. So this is not anything that was in the budget, so it would take county commission approval to be able to hire this position. Is that fair to say, Ms. Elder?
Right, if you approve it, I'm not sure what you're thinking, but if you approve it Thursday evening, they do have a budget committee meeting next Monday. I am sending their packets out, it's due to them on Wednesday, this Wednesday, so I would have to slide that in on Friday for them, but it would be able, it wouldn't be on the agenda is the only problem to be advertised.
So this is something that would probably be next year, summertime starting possibly?
I think right now the earliest to get it on the agenda would be in the April commission meeting. So, you know, it's out here for your consideration. It is not, and it's not anything that I feel has to be rushed, but something that definitely you all can consider and look at as far as that goes. Also in your, new business coming before you is in items for information is asked by the board to come up with a scope of work for a JCHS pod plan. And I wanted to talk a little bit just about that consideration, how we came about. So I took the pod plan and went to various principals. We had conversations about, you know, what you have now what you would not have, what would need to happen in order for this to occur. And, where's that at, Judge? I got it.
Put mine upside down.
So basically, within the pod plan, there was an addition of a pod at Jefferson County High School. Looking at 30 students per classroom, that would be roughly 600 students in a pod. Normally we don't have 30 students in a class. So just figuring on 25 students in a class, 20 classrooms would equal 500 students, which is a little bit less than the current enrollment at the Patriot Academy. Along with that, it discussed in here that there would need to be office space for staff and programs. Restrooms would need to be added in there, along with, it talks in here, custodial closet, electrical data space, storage area. And then one thing that was brought up was elevator access. We currently have one elevator at the high school. It's over in lower 3. So if you build a pod, you would hate for a student to have to go up one floor but have to walk all the way to another area, go up and walk all the way back. That currently does occur. The current elevator is 50 years old, so it does have some age on it. And also added in there for the high school is some expanded kitchen and cafeteria space. I do want to remind that whenever the renovation was done at Jefferson County High School, the cafeteria was not expanded, it was actually reduced in size due to taking space for some of the office addition, performing arts, hallway for the arts, cafeteria space was reduced for the seating area because 550 students left the school, so that space wasn't needed. Also, in talking to Jamie Johnson, she talked about they do not have enough freezer and cooler space or kitchen equipment to prepare the food, hold the food. And so there would need to be an accommodation to enlarge the cafeteria area to be able to add lines to serve that number of students. Back in, prior to the renovation, that was one of the problems. Students didn't have adequate space to sit. We got complaints that students were having to stand, sit on floors, didn't get adequate time to eat. So we definitely don't want to take a step back in that aspect. Also in here, it was mentioned about additional locker room space to be able to handle the student body for auxiliary gym, particularly for physical education class, sports team. The high school stated that they could not function just with one gym during the school day for PE classes or for after school for sports activities to be able to function at the school currently. So there would need to be some consideration for that. And then it goes in there to talk about the relocation to former Jeff Middle School for Jefferson Elementary School and what that would entail as far as there's not currently restrooms in any of the classrooms, and pre-K, preschool, kindergarten, it's really good to have those classrooms with restrooms so that students can use those, as several times they're not potty trained or they have accidents and need a private environment to be able to change and take that. Also, restroom modifications to be able to change existing heights of urinals, water fountains, those type of things. That school was initially a high school, then later renovated for a 6 through 8, and it goes into some other things that talks about the current Jeff Middle has no playground equipment. Technology would have to be accommodated for the size of younger students. Cafeteria equipment would need to be accommodated as serving lines are larger for older kids, higher than they are for younger kids. No built-in storage cabinets, so your middle schools don't have a lot of, it's not a K through 2 classroom where they have centers and small group tables and those type of things in there. So that would need to be addressed. And then there's a section in there about the transition of former Patriot Academy to Patriot Magnet Middle School, and just some things there that current Jefferson Middle School has that would not be available for them at a moving to Patriot Magnet Middle that they are used to in there, as far as CDC classroom, band room, music room. Those are not currently at Patriot Academy as they transition to the high school to use music and band facilities. Auditorium, drama, those type of things are used at the main campus. So that was asked as far as a scope of work to bring to you and for your consideration. One thing, I didn't know what you wish to do with that, so if you wish to do something with it, as far as going further, you know, if you seek to get cost on it or anything, that would just need to be added to an agenda to be able to move forward with anything you want to do on that consideration too. Anything there? No. And then the next, Mr. Blankenship. So Blankenship was asked to do a couple of things at Jefferson Elementary School. And they're going to give a presentation to us in just a second. But they were asked to do a kind of analysis of Jefferson Elementary School, which they have done, and that's included in your packet. And then they were also tasked with coming up with some cost estimates of what a renovation would do, and if that's feasible and how that could be accomplished. And I'm not going to steal their thunder, but Mr. Blankenship, if you all want to come forward, and I will, he has some information and I'll pass it out to you.
I look up and read my speech. It's good to be with you all again. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll introduce myself again. Bill Blankenship with Blankenship and Partners, Architects and Planners. To my left is my assistant, Olivelle Lee, architect, and she keeps me straight. Well, just introduced us. Now, I do want to say, we didn't do this all alone. This was a big effort by a big team of people. and some real specialists and special engineers. And I'd like to introduce them now, and show you, the kind of expertise that went into this analysis. First, name on the flat screen, big flat screen up there, is Well Rock Enterprises, and Mr. Randy Corlew, civil engineer, who studied and evaluated all the site issues. And next, from Bennett and Pless, structural engineers, Mr. Joe Lee Fowler, who excellent structural engineer, who went over your building with a fine-tooth comb, and we can certainly talk about what he saw. Next, from Perfection Group, Mr. Matt Callahan, mechanical engineer. Is Matt here? There he is, right there. Matt provided all the expertise and the knowledge on mechanical engineering, plumbing, and fire protection systems. So I'm glad to have him on the team. And next, from Breland Engineers, Mr. Chuck Luttrell. They are the finest, one of the finest at the top of electrical engineers in East Tennessee. They've been in business since, I believe, about 1950, doing that and that alone, electrical engineering. Next, and a very vital part of our team, Skilled Services, provided all the cost estimating, cost management services, and they are general contractors. They serve a lot of cities, counties, and school systems, just like yours. So they kept us straight and kept us in line when it came to the dollars and cents. Okay. We were charged with identifying the improvements, to evaluate the feasibility and estimate the cost of what it would take to renovate Jefferson Elementary School. Identify the existing problems. That was number one on the list up there. There's a lot of minor things there. And little cracks in the wall, things like that. A lot of it's to be expected for a building that's over 60 years old, and getting close to 70 years old. Now, a school takes a certain kind of beating over that many years, and from the kids and other people. But hey, we saw a lot, and we'll be getting into that and explaining anything you want to know in detail. And evaluate the feasibility of repairing it, upgrading, replacing such things as mechanical systems. There's various things there now, just in the realm of mechanical systems, to me, and lighting systems. What is the feasibility of taking all of this out and replacing it? Can that be done? Well, sure, most of it can be done. To be perfectly honest with you, just general statement, most of it can be. And then, okay, we upgrade it. We bring in new materials, new systems, and so on and so forth, and upgrade it, and make it look like a brand new shiny school again. What's it going to cost to do it? Okay, that's the third issue, or charge. Next. Our process. It's not a complicated process. You see down at the bottom, inspect all the rooms. Well, that's pretty easy thing to understand. But you gotta walk down every room in that school. And there's a lot of rooms in that school. Classrooms, gymnasiums, cafeterias, kitchens, on and on. And what we're looking for in every room is the condition of everything. What's the ceiling like? What's the floor finish like? Is it worn out? Hey, what about the exterior wall? Is it well insulated? That's what, we're looking for all the characteristics of every room. And what's, after, what is it, 67, 68 years, what's still working and what's not. You can understand how complex it gets with that many rooms, but next slide. More of the same. There's a nice shot of the typical classroom. Next. Hey, restrooms. Hey, if we turned the faucets on to see what was working and flushed the commodes, and hey, what's really we're saving here and what's not. So next. Let's see, cafeteria. Next, just some typical spaces. That's a picture of yours truly with the tape in my hand, getting the seating height in one room. Next. And we also climbed the ladder and went up on the roof. And, windy day. But actually, I especially on the roof, I'd have to compliment whoever's maintaining that building, because it's just one of the cleanest roofs you'll ever see. I think in East Tennessee, there's not a bunch of junk or things that workmen have left laying up there, or drop tools or anything. It's very nicely maintained. You ought to be proud of it. But the lifespan is almost up on it. You've gotten your money's worth out of it. It's more than 20 years old, and it needs to be replaced soon. Next. And that's in the gymnasium. Next. And we walked the site, looking at all the exterior walls and checking them. And checking such things as underground structures. You've got catch basins that are completely full of sediment, sand, whatever, and vegetation growing out of them. Next. And mechanical units that if we go forward and with what Matt has recommended for upgraded mechanical systems, all of your mechanical units will be on the roof. And there won't be any unsightly machines all around this building, the perimeter of this building. No ugly refrigerant lines showing, like I believe it's a black one back there. Things like that will disappear. So if you go through renovation. Next. Inspect the equipment, that's what I've been talking about. There's one, I forgot where that room was. So, next. And I talked about that. Next. So, go ahead.
Okay, so when we walked around the building, walked into the rooms, down the corridors, looked behind curtains or whatever, we were looking to see what kind of problems we might find and be able to summarize that for you. Because not everybody, I know many of you are very familiar with the school, but others may not be. And we want to make sure that we put it all out there where you can see it. So there are a few items here. Just summarizing, toilet fixtures, plumbing, mechanical systems, and other elements have exceeded their expected life. It doesn't mean that they're not working, but they've exceeded their expected life. So that's one of the things that we've noted. Masonry walls, concrete slabs has succumbed to the effects of decades of weathering and the effects of settling. Concrete and bricks will still be there, but mortar You know, it's not as strong as maybe some of the other stuff. Finishes have become worn and tired. You know how it is if you wear the same thing every day? You know, it's kind of nice to put on a fresh shirt. This school needs some fresh new clothes. It really does. Old technologies have become obsolete. And number 5, go ahead. The building does not meet modern expectations and standards. For example, when I was in school, we didn't have a sprinkler system. Nowadays, we kind of expect that. So that's just a simple example of something that really could and should be incorporated into any renovation of the school.
Okay, next. Let's see. Okay, the recommendations. Let's hit you right between the eyes first. Number 1 is remove all hazardous materials. All hazardous materials. I can't stress that enough. Secondly, corrected deficiencies, like we've been talking about here. And to where it's like a brand new school, and it can be like a brand new school. Renew and refresh finishes, as Alabelle mentioned. Next, update the systems and technology. I go back a ways. There's a few others here that do also, I'm sure, but there were things with wires connected to them that had long since stopped working on the walls and all. We didn't even know what those things were. What is that? They came in before technology. Next. Is there next? Oh, yeah. Okay. Everybody's always interested in the bottom line. I wondered in some presentations, maybe I should go to that first, but here's what it costs. And I hope you've got one of the handouts. It's all on one page. Now, you don't have to focus in.
But this information is on individual slides. There you go, just
Okay.
click.
First, up at the top, you'll see a group that's underlined hard costs. And these are typical hard costs for any building renovation program or any new building program. The hard costs are really the concrete that you pour in the ground for those footings, or the steel you erect, or the concrete block walls, and things like that. There's just all that stuff that's built in place. Like a site work, I always lead off with site work. Hey, that's the first thing they do when the contractor moves on site. Secondly, existing building renovation. Thirdly, a contingency. This is a renovation project. Every renovation needs a contingency. We set a 5% contingency for this one. And fourth on your list is a list of options that were asked and brought up during our investigation, and we made a list of them and said don't forget about them. And these are items that a designer and an architect and a contractor maybe needs to sit down and talk about later on. So, soft costs, they're a part of any building program, renovation or a new building. And such as property acquisition, which is not applicable for this one, FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Kitchen equipment for this one, including new coolers and freezers, technology, definite upgrade there. Gymnasium equipment, window treatment, and all new signage and graphics. Okay. A heck of a lot of that can be put in the category of just movable equipment. You can pick it up and walk out the door with it, or walk in the door with it, and put it in the classroom where you want it. So, from all new signage and graphics, below that, architectural engineering design fee, design contingency, geotechnical soil report, and land survey. That is people's time, and it's professionals who come to the table with their particular kind of expertise to design the building, to test it, professional surveyor to do a land survey of the property, geotechnical to do borings. They're part of this group that I mentioned is a part of every construction project, building program. Normally, that group is probably somewhere 6 to 8% of the total building budget right there. And then below them, the last three reimbursables, that's typical expenses that need to be paid. The TSFMO, that's a Tennessee State Fire Marshal's office that you'll be sending these big roll of plans to. Well, they go electronically now, I think about it. And they sign off on it and give you a building permit. Their fee will be $37,900. And construction materials such as concrete testing and things like that. Okay, now let's talk about how much they are. Site work, it's $250,000. That's for basically this existing site that's there now that needs work. Any repaving of the existing parking lots there now, or new storm sewer lines that collapsed and caved in, new sanitary, underground sanitary lines that run all the way out to some manhole way in the distance. That's to repair and upgrade the site structures and conditions there now. The existing building renovation, that's $18.7 million. It's 71,192 square feet, and that comes to $262 a square foot. I think in my opinion, this is going down from 262. A year ago, I was in quite a testy conversation, and I was arguing that it's probably going to be 250 a square foot. I think it's headed that way. I did. There's a contingency of 5%, and the options, there's how much you can add if you want to. If you don't like all of those options, you don't add anything. That's how that works. It's very simple. Okay. Show the total hard costs. Oh, there it is. $19.9 million. And the soft costs below, next. Yeah, go ahead and populate those. Okay. Yeah. Hey, I'll get down to, I'm an expert in architectural and engineering design fees. That shows at 5.68%. That is the state, that was calculated by the state of Tennessee's design fee formula that they pay every architect for that exact size project. So there's no negotiation with the state of Tennessee. That's what they pay. And down at the bottom, there should be a total, you should see a total soft cost of $3.4 million, and you add up the hard costs, and you add up the soft costs, and you'll come to $23,330,000. And it's gonna take some time.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, on the schedule, I believe we have 4 slides left. There are, our cost estimator, like you said, is a contractor, and so he's
Don't let me step
very
on you.
good at analyzing a project and figuring out the logistics of how to get it done. He's divided up into 8 sub-projects, and I put them in 3 types. Those 3 types are, go ahead, small area, a larger area, and then school-wide. So let's look at the examples of the school-wide. There are 2 of those. One of them is hazardous material removal. That'll be throughout the school. And the second one will be roofing. You're not going to take it off piece by piece, the whole thing at once. We estimate that that could be done in a summer. So he's put on here the summer of 2025, if we are ready for it at that point. Next slide. So large project areas, or large area projects, we've got 3 of them identified on here with the numbers 1, 2, and 3. You see the color kind of coding there to try to match those up. The yellow or mustard color there is one wing of the school, and that would be done in a period from around August of 2025 to January of 2026. The purple over there at your right would be another wing done during a period from about February to July. And then the third wing would be done at a separate period from about June to December of 2026. Next slide. This would be our final slide, I believe. And we've got 3 other projects that are small in scope. So they would be done over like a summer break or maybe fall winter break. One of them is administration area. You see in kind of the orange color with A. Then the library wing would be done on a summer. That's shown with a green B. And C, the 2 newest classroom additions back in the 90s are added onto the end of 2 of those wings. And those could be handled together during one summer, so summer of 2027. That's a sample schedule. The actual schedule, when you're ready to do it, may look a lot different. And I'll turn it back over to you, or we're done and turn it over to Tom.
We're at the end of our presentation. Is there another slide? I don't think so.
No.
I think that's it. We have stressed over and over again that the hazardous material needs to be removed. All of the hazardous material needs to be removed. The sooner the better. This summer is a good opening. It's a good time once children and faculty have left. It's our understanding from the hazardous material removal company and the report by the expert. Put that very good report together. It'll take about 60 days to do the job. So I wanted to bring that back up and encourage you to do it. I, others have on the team have been asked from time to time, hey, is this building structurally sound? The answer is yes, it is. It has a lot of superficial, well, it's facial cracks that are just on the face of the masonry and don't go all the way through the exterior walls. But hey, I got a wrinkle or 2 on me too. But 99% of them come from expansion and contraction. And old Mr. Sun shining on that brick wall harshly at times and making it just red hot in July and August. And it expands, it has to expand. And then in the dead of winter, when it's 10 degrees, it has to contract. And in that day and age, well, not just during the 50s, but 50s and 2,000 years prior to that, no architects put control joints in masonry wall. We do now. They're soft joints, and they were 30 feet, but definitely no more than 35 feet apart. And then, hey, if you go far enough, you need an expansion joint, which is a big, fat, wide, at least 1 inch joint. So, you're gonna need a few of those. You can cut them in, and hey, and then fill these with a good sealant. It's pliable, it's stretchable, and it can expand for the 25 years or however long you want to go with it. So, there's only one area, and it's on that slide right there. I'm gonna walk over here, or I could walk back here. That's the gymnasium at the bottom of the picture, right there. You got it. And leave the arrow right where you've got it. That wall in that corner over there on the right of the gym, our structural engineer simply thinks he'd like to study that more, dig into it a little bit more, and see what kind of reinforcing is really in that wall. And hey, it's got cracks. There's some precast elements of tiles popping off of up above. They probably did not use frost-proof tile like we do today, and that's probably the reason that tile's coming up. But just that one, what is that? That's the north side of the gym, and the west side. He just wants to study a little bit more and check the reinforcing stuff. But we think, hey, it's all structurally sound. Any questions?
I do have a question. Noticed in here, we'd be doing a lot of the RTUs, the rooftop units. All right, with perfection. They'd be doing the rooftop units.
You're asking, I'm sorry, you're asking if we would be using rooftop units in place of the ground?
The ground units, yeah.
I think that is the intent, yes.
The one thing I kept seeing in there was the roof structurally sound for that kind of weight?
A good structural engineer, responsible structural engineer, is not going to just tell you, yeah, it's fine, without knowing what's the size, what's the weight of the unit you want to put up there, and what's the actual, much of the roof, the ceiling obscures, you can't see the roof.
Right.
Only in parts of the building can you. And he's going to want to know before he says that it can. So, I mean, he's being responsible and not saying that it definitely is going to hold. We have to determine that. And if strengthening is required, then it would be done.
How would that, I mean, that sounds like it'd be pretty expensive if we had to structurally reinforce our roof. Yeah, I'm just kind of questioning.
He's asking, would that, it sounds pretty extensive if they have to add strengthening to the roof.
This is very similar to what we did at Piedmont, moving some units up. And then also in this project, the roof totally comes off. So at Piedmont, if there was any rot or any issues, we took care of it during that time frame. To put gas units up there and take care of that at that time. So.
And if you add a rooftop unit to a roof like that, you've got to add a curb for it to sit on.
Yeah.
And we normally sit the curbs on a couple of angles, which sit on existing bar joists. And that's not really extensive or very expensive at all.
So, in this, if I read this right, It said the old plans called for, I think it said 2x6s for structural beams. And you guys looked in there and it turned out to be the different type of, I don't remember what they called it offhand. It's a different type of beams.
Are we talking about maybe the roof deck?
The roof deck is wood.
I'll look back.
Well, in some of the newer areas, I think that they do have a metal deck.
Uh,
But most of that, if you look at the old drawings, it shows a wood roof deck. But much of that area is not accessible to see without tearing something up, and we didn't go in and tear anything up.
It is, it's a 2x6s sitting up this way, right against each other. And that is your roof deck. That is strong, strong, strong stuff. Today, we use a little thin metal corrugated roof deck. You can probably sit elephants on your roof.
Mr. Blankenship,
Yes, sir.
how much of the work can you do with students in there, or do you have to move all the students out of the building before you can do any?
No, I think you can work on most of these items with the students there. There is one note on the schedule, if you look at your schedule page, over on the right, it says loud disruptions related to demo will be performed when students are not present. And that says it all. Loud noises should not be tolerated. I've done various projects that I could think of. A contractor on this side of a temporary wall and people, normal people on that side working away. But that can be handled well. It can.
You're saying you can do the work and not remove any students from that school at any time?
You'll have just remove them from the work area alone. The area that's, such as this schedule, like the one area. Get the students out of the one area, and the other ones can stay in their classroom, some of them up in the 3 area or a long way away.
And to be completely clear, we're not talking about asbestos abatement here.
Oh, true.
The school is empty. Tommy Arnold is not there. None of the students, none of the staff are there, only the professionals that are licensed to handle that work. But working in the classrooms, after all that is done, he's correct, yes, you can move students out of a portion of the building.
So
if
you're
you can
saying
find
that
work.
we'll have to move the students out, clear out the asbestos, and then we can move them back in while y'all are working? Is that, am I understanding this right?
During the
Except for
summer
the week.
months is whenever they would abate, so not during the school
I've
year.
seen that, I saw it.
We would move them out of a portion of the building during the school year. So if there are certain classrooms that are not used, then we could, this is an example. There might be another example that needs to be developed once we get further along. But you can, if you've got, say, 4 extra classrooms or 10 extra classrooms or whatever it is, you can start there and move kids as necessary in order to make it work.
So, even though this is more extensive, we would kind of do at Jefferson Elementary what we did at Piedmont. When they were being worked on this section, the kids would be moved to this section. When they were done with that, they'd be moved back and,
Yeah.
so, in one way or the other, the kids, other than the asbestos abatement, which would be done during the summer, could be done while the kids are still there.
Right.
Yes.
Question. In your opinion, you mentioned that the building, you consider the building still structurally sound. Do you feel that all the settling that has been done over there is pretty much finished? And do you see any foundational problems at the school at this point, based upon the past settling?
All the settlement has it all taken place over 65 years, whatever it's been. In my opinion, it has. This building's on spread footage, which is a shallow foundation. That's what it's called. They rest on earth, not rock 20 or 30 feet down. They rest on the earth. We actually plan for all buildings on shallow foundations to settle a small amount. Maybe a half inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch at most. Okay. That's okay. That'll work. And there's thousands of buildings here in East Tennessee that followed that rule and settled, and they're okay. The critical thing is you want the whole footprint of the school to settle uniformly. And that's why on construction jobs, you see contractors with those big compactors, with those big steel feet on them, just pounding it down, compacting it uniformly, or pulling a sheep's foot around and compacting it all uniformly so the building settles a little uniformly. But do I think the settlement's played itself out? Yes, I do.
Next question. One of the things in the scope of work that you gave us, you spent quite a bit of time on the window walls, describing those. It's been our understanding from speaking with Sheriff Coffey that that's one of the major security problems with that school, that those window walls they come down so far and they go up so high that there's just so much window room there that somebody with bad intentions could carry out what they want to. Have you, and then you mentioned also in the scope of work about additional video cameras. Have you had a chance to speak to Sheriff Coffey here in Jefferson County about any other safety procedures that could be accomplished while we're doing this, if we end up doing this?
I have not spoken with Sheriff.
Okay.
I'll be glad to.
Yeah, I think I think that's a major concern for everybody these days.
If you think of the exterior wall in every classroom, from windowsill down, it's all solid masonry, which has little or no R value on it. In 1957, nobody cared about R values. And from the windowsill up is a whole lot of glass. And all of it's single glaze, single pane glass, 1/4 inch thick, no R value, no insulation properties whatsoever. They had a lot of awning, operable windows in that big window opening for ventilation at that time, and transoms over the door into the classroom, so air could just flow through the school. Well, the window wall needs to be reworked. So, and the masonry wall below, so it's well insulated, and the window does not have to have that much transparent glass in it, really. They can have nice windows and be secure. There's also doors on the exterior walls of classrooms, and all of them can be closed. They're not needed. Those doors can be a security problem.
Last question. Let's see. A time frame. I think I understand the time frame. You're saying about 2 years more or less from the time you actually begin until the time the project was finished. If we go with this project, what would the time frame be from the time, if we went with this project, we got approval from the county commission to go ahead with it, and we on the board decided we wanted to when I believe the first step, which is the asbestos abatement, could take place. In other words, let's just take, if in April they said, yeah, go ahead with it, and we decided we want to go ahead with it. that doesn't give a whole lot of time before the kids get out of school to get contracts signed, you know, whatever. What would the time frame between approval, ultimate approval by the county and by the school board to when you could actually get going on this thing?
That's going to be up to the contractor to some extent. We don't have control over that.
You have
But
an
in
estimate?
you know, the contractor that put this together, they, I'm sure, were looking at their capabilities and their workload in putting that schedule together. Other contractors would have a, you know, different set of circumstances, but they might come up with something similar.
So when they put this together, were they looking at beginning, you know, best case scenario in the summer of '25?
I think so.
Okay.
It's gonna take 60 days to remove all the asbestos material. Okay, let's say that abatement company comes on board, on the site, late May. And they take June and July to do their work. Everybody has to stay out of the building while they're doing their work. Nobody can go into that building until, let's say, August 1st. And then students, faculty, and contractor also can come on site August 1st. Construction workers don't work in an asbestos removal situation. They can't. They won't. So you've got from now until August 1st to turn a contractor loose and work through all the design that's going to be necessary and all the sitting at a table with the contractor, working on prices and budgets and how much this would cost and how much that's going to cost, so on and so forth, to sign his contract anytime during the summer, so he can mobilize and be ready to go to work August 1.
Thank you. One last question. Can you tell us what your charge to the school board is for preparing this for us?
I think I quoted you a fee of $50,000.
Okay, thank you.
My concern, I kind of had the same concern that Mr. Ibbotson was talking about with the windows being, I think they were maybe, 3 feet off the ground? Is there something in the plans that would raise that up? I know that you were talking about the foundation, but is there something we could do to raise that up so it wasn't 3 feet off the ground and limit less window space?
It could be raised.
Yeah, it could be.
That's not a problem.
But the estimate only just is for replacing the existing windows as they are right now, though, right? But that's something we could do.
Well, we haven't designed the project at this stage. We're just,
You're estimating that's what.
yeah, you know, but that's you know, there's a lot of things that we would discuss as we move forward, and we might decide that, you know, 3 foot is not adequate, and it needs to be higher. And if that's the case, then we would make it higher. On the other hand, we're talking about elementary school kids, and some of them are kind of
Right.
short,
Well,
you know.
they're big short people.
I'm worried about the tall people on the outside.
Yeah, I understand. And, you know,
Physically,
we've talked
it can
about
be done.
Yeah.
fencing the school, and that'll help too.
Anything else? Appreciate this,
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Rest of it's items for information, went over new business, that's all I have.
All right, brings us to the school commissioners' items for discussions. Anybody got any Yes.
I'd just like to remind the board that our policy committee meeting, because of the holidays, and we kind of messed up all of our meeting times and dates this month, is on the 27th at 5:30. So if we have 2 or 3 policies that we're going to be looking at, if anybody has any policies they'd like us to look at to revise, please get your revisions to Rhonda at the central office so she can present them to the policy committee on the 27th at 5:30. Thank you, that's all I have.
Anybody else? All right, I think too, included in here, Tom's looked at it as our schedule that's been put together, so make sure you're looking at that, putting it in your calendar and all that, so. There's nothing else.
Something that's just good. One of the things on the schedule is we do have a retreat coming up. I would like to kind of maybe start thinking about what we want to discuss at the retreat that we're going to be having at the Patriot Academy, because it doesn't make much sense to have a retreat if we don't have a program.
Yep.
So maybe we can start thinking about that and talking about that in upcoming meetings.
Yeah, we do have, with some previous discussion, having the, different supervisors from each department come and introduce themselves. That way we can know everybody and tell us a little bit about what's going on, give us some information on that. So if there's anything else, I believe we're gonna try to start about 10 o'clock on that day. So if there's anything else, we need to make sure we get that took care of. We also will be having our joint committee meeting, I believe it's February 20th. No, the joint committee, the county commission. February 20th. Yeah, so, and I think we're doing that at the Patriot Academy, so, everybody wants to attend that. Yeah, make sure you're there for that, but nobody else has anything. I reckon that means we'll see y'all back here Thursday night at 6:30. So everybody be safe out there, don't slide off the road.